What if I told you that something unusual is moving toward Mars right now, and scientists can't agree on whether it represents our greatest danger or our greatest opportunity? At first, it looked like just another object drifting through space. Then the data came in, and suddenly the question was no longer what is it, but what does it mean for us? Because this anomaly, known as 3I Atlas, may force humanity to face a choice we never expected to make so soon. When astronomers first spotted 3I Atlas, it was cataloged the way countless objects have been cataloged before it: coordinates logged, brightness measured, trajectory calculated. At a distance, it looked ordinary. But science is not done at a distance. Science begins when we zoom in, when we test assumptions, when we ask whether reality truly matches the labels we assign to it, and the closer we look, the more uncomfortable the picture became. Because according to everything we thought we knew about interstellar objects, this one should not exist in the way that it does. Interstellar visitors are forged in alien star systems and flung into the galaxy by gravitational chaos. They arrive fast, too fast to linger, carrying the momentum of ancient stellar encounters. Their paths through our solar system should be clean, decisive, and fleeting. Gravity bends them, the sun accelerates them, and then they are gone. That is the rule. But 3I Atlas violates that rule in subtle, disturbing ways. Its velocity does not behave like a simple consequence of gravity alone. There are minute deviations, not abrupt enough to scream anomaly, but persistent enough to whisper it. In physics, whispers matter more than screams when calculations were refined. Something startling emerged. The object appeared to adjust its motion in response to solar radiation with an efficiency that defies known cometary behavior. Natural outgassing produces erratic thrust, uneven jets that spin objects unpredictably. What we see instead is balance, correction, stability. The motion looks optimized, as if the object is minimizing energy loss while maximizing positional control. This is not how chaotic systems behave. This is how regulated systems behave. And regulation in physics always raises eyebrows. To dismiss this as coincidence would be comforting. To say we simply haven't seen enough interstellar objects yet would be easy. But science does not move forward by comfort. It moves forward by confronting what refuses to fit. If 3I Atlas is natural, then nature's doing something we have never observed before, at scales and efficiencies that challenge our models. And if our models are incomplete, then the universe is once again reminding us of a humbling truth. Our understanding is provisional. Then comes the question that refuses to stay quiet. Why does this anomaly align so closely with Mars? Space is vast beyond comprehension. The odds of any object passing near any specific planet are small. Yet here it is, not merely passing, but interacting in ways that our instruments can measure. Mars is not just another rock circling the sun. It is a planet in transition. A world that once had rivers, lakes, and perhaps life, now reduced to a thin atmosphere, clinging desperately to the surface. It is fragile. And fragility makes it sensitive. Mars reacts to small forces. Slight changes in energy input can alter its atmospheric chemistry, its ionization levels, its interaction with solar wind. This makes it a natural detector, a cosmic sensor waiting to be triggered. When we observe localized changes in Mars' upper atmosphere coinciding with the proximity of 3I Atlas, we are forced to confront a difficult reality. Either our understanding of Martian atmospheric physics is incomplete, or something external is influencing it in real time. These changes are not dramatic. There are no global storms, no sudden collapses, no cinematic disasters. Instead, there is subtle excitation, faint but consistent increases in charge, particles, chemical interactions that appear slightly out of place. And in science, subtlety is often more important than spectacle. Subtle effects are harder to fake, harder to misinterpret, and harder to explain away. They suggest precision rather than accident. Mars is the planet we study when we want to understand habitability. It is the planet we plan to terraform, to colonize, to turn into a second home. So when an anomaly appears to be influencing Mars rather than Earth, it triggers a profound shift in perspective. It is as if the universe is drawing our attention not to ourselves, but to our future. Mars represents what we were might become again and what we hope to reach beyond Earth. An indirection there feels symbolic, but science does not rely on symbolism. It relies on consequences. If an object can subtly alter Mars' atmospheric conditions without direct contact, then planetary environments are more interconnected with passing cosmic phenomena than we assumed. Space is not empty. It is active. It carries fields, particles, and energies that can shape worlds quietly, patiently, over time. And 3I Atlas may be the first clear sign that interstellar objects can do more than pass through, they can participate. This realization carries emotional weight because it challenges a deeply held belief. We like to think of planets as isolated islands, evolving slowly under predictable forces. But what if that picture is incomplete? What if planets are more like open systems, influenced not just by their stars, but by visitors from the dark between stars? Mars changing in the presence of an anomaly forces us to accept that planetary destiny may not be written solely by local physics. At moments like this, humanity stands at a crossroads of understanding. We can dismiss the anomaly as noise and wait for certainty that may never come. Or we can lean into curiosity, allowing uncertainty to guide deeper inquiry. History shows us that every time we chose curiosity, the universe rewarded us with a larger, stranger, more beautiful reality. And now, with 3I Atlas moving through our cosmic neighborhood and Mars quietly responding, we are once again being invited to look closer, think deeper, and accept that the universe may be far more interactive and far more mysterious than we ever imagined. Once we accept that 3I Atlas does not behave like a simple passerby, the mind naturally drifts toward the darker interpretation. History has trained us to associate cosmic anomalies with catastrophe. Asteroids have rewritten the story of life on Earth. Gamma ray bursts can sterilize entire regions of the galaxy. Space, beautiful as it is, has never been gentle. So when an interstellar anomaly approaches Mars and begins to correlate with changes in its environment, the word Doomsday inevitably enters the conversation not as panic, but as caution. Mars is a planet balanced on a knife's edge. Its atmosphere is thin, its magnetic field weak, its ability to shield itself from radiation almost non-existent. A small push in the wrong direction could accelerate atmospheric loss, increase radiation exposure, or trigger chemical cascades that permanently alter its surface conditions. If 3I Atlas is emitting energy, electromagnetic, particulate, or otherwise, then even a modest interaction could have outsized consequences over time. In space, slow processes are often the most dangerous because they operate quietly beyond the reach of immediate alarm. This is how extinction-level events often begin, not with explosions, but with subtle imbalances. A slight cooling, a slight warming, a slow thinning of protective layers. If Mars is experiencing changes today, the real effects may not fully reveal themselves for decades. And that is precisely why scientists take such anomalies seriously. Physics teaches us that small causes, given enough time, can produce irreversible outcomes. Chaos theory was born from this realization. Yet here is where the narrative takes a surprising turn. Because the very same data that allows for a doomsday interpretation also allows for something radically different. The changes observed in Mars' atmosphere are not chaotic. They are localized, restrained, and oddly constructive. Ionization does not automatically mean destruction. Chemistry does not automatically mean collapse. Under the right conditions, energy input can stabilize an atmosphere, not strip it away. It can thicken layers, stimulate reactions, and increase a planet's ability to retain heat. This is where the idea of Mars as a future home re-enters the discussion, not as science fiction, but as theoretical possibility. For decades, scientists have dreamed of terraforming Mars, of giving it a thicker atmosphere, warmer temperatures, and conditions that could support human life. The challenge has always been scale. Doing this with human technology would take centuries, perhaps millennia, and enormous energy resources. But the laws of physics do not forbid it. They merely set the price. Now imagine a process natural or otherwise, that can influence planetary atmospheres without brute force. A process that operates patiently, subtly over long timescales. Such a process would not look like construction crews and machines. It would look like physics doing just enough work to shift equilibrium. And that is what makes the 3I Atlas anomaly so unsettling. The same signatures that could spell danger could also be the first steps toward transformation. Terraforming, after all, is not about violence. It is about balance. Increasing pressure, adjusting chemistry, encouraging feedback loops that favor stability. If Mars were receiving energy in a controlled way, energy that enhances atmospheric retention rather than stripping it away, then the line between natural evolution and deliberate engineering becomes blurred. And once again, we are forced to confront how limited our categories truly are. This duality, doom or opportunity, is emotionally powerful because it mirrors humanity's relationship with technology itself. Fire can destroy or sustain. Nuclear reactions can power cities or erase them. The universe offers tools. Outcomes depend on context. 3I Atlas, whatever its nature, confronts us with that same ambiguity on a planetary scale. It reminds us that cosmic processes are not inherently benevolent or malevolent. They simply are. What deepens the emotional weight is the realization that Mars is not just any planet. It is our mirror. It shows us a version of Earth that lost its protection, its water, its warmth. It is a warning from the past and a test bed for the future. If Mars is being influenced by forces beyond our control, then our dreams of colonization must adapt. We cannot assume we will arrive as architects to an untouched world. We may arrive as participants in an ongoing cosmic process. This shifts humanity's role in a profound way. We move from masters to students, from planners to observers. The question stops being how do we change Mars, and becomes what is already changing Mars and why. That question is not disempowering. It is enlightening. It forces us to align our ambitions with reality rather than fantasy. Emotionally, this is a humbling moment. It strips away the comforting illusion that the universe is passive while we act upon it. Instead, it reveals a cosmos that is dynamic, layered, and already busy with processes far older than our species. Whether 3I Atlas represents a natural anomaly, a cosmic warning, or a glimpse of advanced planetary engineering, it tells us one undeniable truth: the universe is not waiting for us to arrive before it begins shaping worlds. And that realization carries both fear and hope. Fear, because we may not be in control. Hope, because control may not be necessary. If Mars can change, if atmospheres can evolve under influences we are only beginning to detect, then the future of humanity in space may be less about brute force survival and more about understanding how to live within the larger patterns of the cosmos. When we consider the possibility that an object like 3I Atlas is influencing Mars, the first instinct is to ask whether this is a natural phenomenon. We are trained to look for natural explanations first: gravitational perturbations, solar radiation effects, outgassing, cosmic dust interactions. Yet the more we examine the behavior, the less comfortably it fits into our known frameworks. Its motion is too precise, its energy emissions too structured, its interactions with planetary environments too deliberate. In science, precision on this scale is rarely accidental. Nature is beautiful, but it is rarely organized in ways that suggest intentionality. And yet, here is an object that seems to operate as if it understands the rules of planetary physics and is exploiting them. Whether or not intelligence is involved, the resemblance is striking. To even begin to grasp the implications, one must consider how intelligence reveals itself in the universe. We often assume that if life elsewhere exists, it will announce itself with loud, unmistakable signals, radio bursts, laser flashes, or messages designed to be intercepted. This is an anthropocentric assumption. It reflects how humans communicate, how we signal presence to others. But intelligence, especially a civilization more advanced than ours, would prioritize efficiency. It would not waste energy on displays that risk detection by unknown entities. It would not broadcast across distances of light years for validation. Instead, it might act subtly, through influence rather than declaration, through interaction rather than communication. 3Y Atlas exhibits behaviors that could be consistent with this kind of subtle observation. It adjusts, it responds, it nudges but does not announce itself. This is the hallmark of something that knows what it is doing. It is important to understand that humanity is still in the very early stages of reading these cosmic signs. We have barely begun to detect interstellar visitors. Our instruments are precise, but they are young and limited. We have radio telescopes capable of detecting certain emissions, spectroscopes able to identify elemental composition, and orbiters that can measure atmospheric changes. Yet these tools were designed to measure phenomena familiar to us, not to identify intelligence disguised as physics. A civilization only a few thousand years ahead of us could manipulate energy and matter in ways indistinguishable from natural processes. The motions of 3I Atlas, the way it influences Mars, the energy patterns it exhibits, all of these could be entirely natural or they could be engineered. Either way, they challenge the limits of human perception. The emotional resonance of this realization cannot be overstated. It humbles us. It forces us to confront the possibility that the universe contains forces, processes, or intelligences operating on scales and principles that we barely understand. We like to imagine that we are at the center of cosmic awareness, that our technology, our science, our consciousness are the cutting edge. But when we encounter an anomaly that behaves with such precision, our assumptions crumble. We are reminded that the universe has been running experiments for billions of years, that evolution, physics, and perhaps intelligence itself operate on a timescale far greater than our own. And we are only beginning to notice the evidence. At the same time, there is a profound opportunity embedded in this humility, recognizing that intelligence, if it exists elsewhere, may not announce itself, forces humanity to evolve its methods of observation. We must learn to detect behavior, not just signals. We must learn to see intention in motion, subtle influence in what initially appears random. This is a shift from passive listening to active interpretation, from waiting for a shout to learning to hear whispers. It requires patience, rigor, and imagination. If we succeed, we open the door not only to understanding anomalies like 3I Atlas, but also to comprehending a cosmos that is far more interactive and alive than we have dared to imagine. This leads to another unsettling realization. The universe does not operate on human timescales. While we are accustomed to events that unfold in years, months, or days, cosmic processes operate over millennia and millions of years. A subtle energy input today might reshape a planet over decades. A small alteration in chemical balance might set the stage for a long-term transformation. Observing Mars in the presence of 3I Atlas is like glimpsing the early stages of a process that will not fully reveal itself until long after we are gone. Our task is not to control it, but to understand it, to recognize patterns, and prepare for consequences we cannot yet fully measure. Humanity's infancy in cosmic observation also underscores the importance of humility in our ambition. Mars has long been considered our second home, a future refuge, and a laboratory for our species. But if Mars is already being influenced by forces beyond our comprehension, our plans must adapt. Colonization is no longer purely engineering, it becomes a dance with the unknown. The survival of our species in space may depend as much on understanding subtle external influences as it does on our technology. To thrive in this new context, we must develop not only machines and habitats, but also a deeper awareness of the cosmos as an active participant in shaping planetary futures. The emotional and intellectual challenge here is profound. Fear and awe intertwine as we confront a universe that may already be operating at a level far beyond our current understanding. It is not a question of panic, but a perspective. We are learners, observing processes that may have been in motion long before our species existed. We are witnesses to a subtle, precise, and perhaps intelligent interaction with a neighboring planet. The universe has offered a glimpse of its complexity, and our response will define how we advance as a civilization. Finally, this perspective demands that we rethink the ways in which we search for life and intelligence. It is no longer sufficient to listen for loud signals or to hope for direct communication. We must learn to interpret subtle clues, to understand the consequences of behavior, and to recognize influence when it does not shout its presence. The universe may be teeming with activity that escapes detection simply because we are looking for the wrong signs. By expanding our methods of observation, embracing patience, and cultivating humility, we position ourselves to understand not only anomalies like 3IA Atlas, but also the broader reality that intelligence, in whatever form it exists, may communicate through action, consequence, and subtle interaction, rather than overt declaration. As we move deeper into understanding the implications of 3I Atlas, it becomes clear that this is not merely an astronomical curiosity. Humanity has always imagined space as a realm of exploration, a frontier where our technology allows us to impose order, to shape environments, and to secure our survival. Mars has long been cast as the next stage for our species, a second home, a laboratory for human ambition. We have sent rovers, orbiters, and satellites with the goal of mapping its surface, analyzing its atmosphere, and preparing for eventual colonization. Yet the presence of 3Y, Atlas, introduces a profound complication. Mars may not be an inert world awaiting our intervention. It may already be engaged in interactions beyond our control or understanding, altering the very conditions we plan to engineer ourselves. Suddenly, colonization is no longer a matter of human engineering alone. It becomes a dialogue with forces we have only begun to perceive. This shifts our role from conquerors of planets to participants in ongoing cosmic processes. We are forced to ask whether Mars is being prepared, subtly modified, or influenced in ways that we cannot yet fully comprehend. This is not science fiction speculation. Physics is precise. Every particle, every photon, every ion counts. If an interstellar object can alter atmospheric chemistry, ionization levels, or particle distributions on a planetary scale, then it is no longer appropriate to consider planets as isolated systems. They are connected to the cosmic environment in ways we are only beginning to measure. The realization is humbling. Mars is no longer just a frontier for humanity. It is a laboratory in which we are observers, perhaps for the first time recognizing that planetary evolution is not purely local, that the universe is an active participant shaping outcomes subtly but significantly. The emotional weight of this perspective is profound. We have imagined a future in which humanity imposes its will on new worlds. We have dreamed of terraforming Mars, thickening its atmosphere, creating conditions that allow water to flow and life to flourish. But if forces beyond our control are already influencing Mars, our role must change. Survival and colonization will depend not merely on engineering skill, but on awareness, adaptability, and a capacity to interpret the universe's subtle signals. The universe may already be running experiments, and we must learn to read the results. This is a fundamental shift in thinking from asserting dominance over space to participating responsibly in processes that exceed our current comprehension. It is a challenge that demands intellectual humility, scientific rigor, and emotional resilience. At the same time, this realization brings a sense of awe. To witness a planetary body like Mars responding to an interstellar anomaly is to witness physics in motion on a scale, and with a precision that inspires both wonder and respect. It suggests that the universe is not silent or passive, but active and dynamic, operating with processes that are subtle, efficient, and, in some cases, deliberately measured. Observing such interactions teaches us that intelligence, whether natural, artificial, or unknown, may communicate not through loud signals or overt displays, but through subtle influence and modulation of its environment. It reframes our understanding of what it means to detect intelligence, not through communication alone, but through observation of controlled, meaningful action. This perspective also transforms how we conceptualize our ambitions in space. Mars has been viewed as humanity's backup, a potential refuge from Earth's vulnerabilities. But if the planet is already interacting with external forces, then colonization becomes not just a matter of survival engineering, but of diplomacy with the cosmos itself. Every step we take, every habitat we construct, every atmospheric adjustment we attempt must account for interactions we may not fully anticipate. The universe is reminding us that survival is not a solo endeavor. We are participants in a larger, ongoing set of processes, and our intelligence must extend beyond technology to encompass awareness of forces that may operate on scales far greater than ourselves. Emotionally, this realization is both humbling and inspiring. Fear emerges naturally, fear of the unknown, fear of forces we cannot control. But alongside that fear is awe at the sophistication of cosmic processes, awe at the precision with which interstellar phenomena can influence planetary environments, awe at the subtlety with which intelligence or complex natural processes can operate across light years. Humanity has long equated power with visible action, explosions, constructions, broadcasts, but the universe teaches us that influence can be quiet, precise, and profoundly effective. To recognize and understand that is to take the first step toward a higher level of comprehension and preparedness. Ultimately, the presence of 3I Atlas challenges us to rethink the very assumptions that underlie our understanding of space. The universe may be more interactive, more responsive, and more interconnected than we have assumed. Mars may not be a blank canvas awaiting human ingenuity, but a living laboratory already subject to forces beyond our control. And our role is no longer to dominate, but to observe, to interpret, to adapt. This requires patience, humility, and a willingness to accept that knowledge is incremental and that the universe has been operating on timescales and through mechanisms far older and more sophisticated than our own. This is not a call to panic. It is a call to awareness. It is an invitation to expand the scope of our curiosity and the depth of our observation. It is a reminder that humanity's future in space may depend as much on understanding and cooperating with cosmic processes as it does on rockets, habitats, and technology. To survive and thrive, we must cultivate intelligence not only of our machines, but of our perception, learning to detect subtle influence, to read patterns in motion, and to recognize that the universe communicates not only with signals, but with consequences. In doing so, we step into a new era of space exploration, one where humanity moves from being a passive observer to an active, conscious participant in the unfolding dynamics of the cosmos. As we reflect on the journey of 3Y Atlas toward Mars, we are confronted with a profound truth. The universe is far more active, complex, and subtle than we have ever imagined. This anomaly challenges our assumptions, humbles our ambitions, and expands the horizon of what we thought possible. Whether it represents danger, opportunity, or simply a natural process beyond our current understanding, it has already achieved something remarkable that has forced humanity to rethink its place in the cosmos. Mars is no longer merely a potential home, it is a living laboratory, a reminder that planetary futures are shaped not only by human hands, but by forces that operate on scales both vast and subtle. The lesson is clear. To explore space is not merely to conquer it, but to understand it, to observe with patience, and to participate responsibly in the grand unfolding of the universe. Thank you for joining this journey of curiosity, discovery, and wonder. Your attention, your questions, and your willingness to explore the unknown are what make moments like this meaningful. Keep looking up, keep asking, and keep imagining, because the universe is always speaking, and the adventure has only just begun.